Good evening, I'm Shaniqua Robinson, and here's some of the top stories we have for you tonight. The governor okays 8% salary cut. A woman falls to her death on St. John. A man is shot 3 times on Company Street, and another exclusive on St. Croix businesses closing their doors. These stories and more are up next on News Channel 8. In our top story tonight, VI Governor John Deong has signed into law the Economic Stability Act of 2011 that will cut all government salaries by 8%. News Channel 8's Glenn Drates tells us more.
On Tuesday afternoon, Governor John P. DeYoung Jr. wrote Senate President Ronald Russell to confirm the actions he had taken with respect to Bill 29-0123, the Economic Stability Act of 2011. The governor noted in his letter that the legislature's action in passing Bill 29-0123 reflected a fair start in the renewed efforts of executive and legislative branches of government to work collectively and cooperatively to tackle the fiscal and budgetary challenges which confront our territory. Bill 29-0123 contained the legislature's 8% reduction in the salaries of all government workers paid over $26,000 per year, a program to incentivize government workers with 30 or more years in service to retire, a program of voluntary leave without pay for government workers, and a cell phone surcharge extending for emergency services now paid by the landlines to all phone service in the territory. These measures have now become law. The governor further stated in his letter to the Senate President that although there were some provisions in Bill 29-0123 which required further considerations by the legislature, he was confident that our renewed commitment to working together on these matters would lead to a better and a workable plan. I'm Glenn Drake for News Channel 8.
Thanks, Glenn. In other news, there's been another shooting on St. Croix. A man was shot 3 times early this morning on Company Street. News Channel 8's Wes Malls files this report.
Thanks a lot, Shaniqua. We're on Company Street. I'm in front of Club Expose, and it was 20 minutes before 5. We have a 22-year-old who was shot 3 times, okay? And he was shot in his stomach, shot in his left hand, as well as his butt. He is going to survive, they believe, could be stable or critical. It happened 20 minutes to 5. As you can see here, this is the real deal, as we had a bullet going here. He was shot 3 times. Several cars in the area also had gunshot bullets in them as they were parked. Now, as this 22-year-old lie here fighting for his life, found on him was a loaded 9mm magazine, also a dime bag of marijuana. I made some calls. Apparently this club is supposed to be open until 5 a.m., and apparently that is what happened. They had the doors, both doors open, apparently, wide. Apparently they were supposed to have security out here. I don't know. But here's what we have. We have at least 2 individuals arguing inside the club, possibly like a lover's triangle type thing going on, both men. And then we had the 3rd individual, 22-year-old, and he also somehow got into the mix. And it was he then who took the 3 shots, again, to his stomach, his butt, and his left hand. 22 years old. He was born in 1988, has not had his birthday yet this year, so we believe that puts him at 22 years of age. If you know anything about this shooting, then you should call 911 or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-TIPS. Company Street, in front of Expose, we have a 22-year-old who was shot at least 3 times. As the club was pretty much emptying out and trying to get people out, we also understand 2 strippers, or exotic dancers, if you will, were arguing, fighting on top of the car, perhaps over some tip money or something like that. On Company Street, I'm Wes Small for News Channel 8.
Thanks, Wes. A woman who fell out of a moving safari bus on Sunday night is now dead. The incident happened on St. John. The victim, who hailed from Massachusetts, apparently fell off the back of a safari bus on its way to a campground where her and her sister were staying. Her sister said that she was text messaging when she looked up and her sister was gone. They later discovered the victim lying in the roadway. The woman sadly died sometime later after she was taken to Snyder Hospital on St. Thomas. Tonight, we have another exclusive report on more St. Croix businesses closing their doors. Here's Wes Small with the story.
Thanks a lot, Shaniqua. We're downtown Christiansted, where we have two superstars. They're definitely concerned about the business community. Last week, an expose on Frederiksted. Horrible news about Pier 69, Motown, Mahogany, other businesses just going to the graveyard. Now we're in Christiansted, and it's their turn. We're talking about a moratorium. Of course, we all know attorney Lee Rohn over here and Colin Hodge, who's been involved in the business community for years, and he's really concerned. Always a positive guy, but lately he hasn't been so positive. Explain to us what this is about, as you say, about an article that appeared in the Avis recently, also information about a moratorium, about alcohol and so forth, and licenses.
Yes, good afternoon, Wes. Most of the community it seems to be shocked, and most of the communities don't know that there's been a moratorium in place for the past 5 years that was passed by Senator Uzi Richards to restrict the issuance of any liquor license that would be given in Christiansted and Frederiksted Town unless it's going to be the opening of a restaurant. What this means is that any nightclub, bar, or any entity based on our law requires a liquor license to open except for restaurants. So if you cannot get a liquor license, you cannot open unless you're opening a restaurant. So we look at our Christiansted and Frederiksted Town, we were wondering why over the last 4 or 5 years we have seen the constant decline of this industry, and that's directly related to the fact that you cannot get a liquor license to open any entity unless you're going into the restaurant business. Now, as we all know, with the high cost of energy and the high cost of going into restaurant business, and plus the knowledge, you are forced to open a restaurant or go into that industry if you just want to go into any other type entertainment type business.
Wow. Prominent attorney Lee Rohn, thank you. I know you're swamped with your cases to come out and talk to us. Listen to this. 8 restaurants have closed in the past 2 months. Many others are for sale. You heard what Colin just said. Where do you come in with all this legalities and everything?
Well, I'm concerned because what this moratorium does, or moratorium, is that it is advantageous to people who are not in business in Christiansted or Frederiksted. So if you're DV Carino, then people are going to go to DV because you can get a bar license because you're not in Christiansted or Frederiksted. Okay. If you're in Sunny Isle. So what this bill is really doing is pulling more people out of our towns and making our towns more of a dead zone, so that there's no reason to come to Christiansted and there's no reason to come to Frederiksted, and instead we turn these towns over to people who either walk the streets, live on the streets, or use the streets for their own demise. Both these towns are already becoming ghost towns, and now they're just going to become areas in which just the people of the night are here and there's nothing to do. The other problem is that we're trying to get tourism here. We're trying to get people to come into our city. Nobody, the refrain I hear from tourists is there's nothing to do on St. Croix. There's nothing to do on St. Croix because we have now said you can't have a place of entertainment that serves alcohol if you're in Christiansted or Frederiksted. You're killing these towns.
Wow. Well, there you have it. I'll ask for either one of you. Now, what can people do tonight as they watch this? I've heard Senator Uzi Richards authored this bill. Should they call their senators, or what should be the next move for the public?
There is no doubt that they need to call their senators. Apparently, this, from what I'm hearing, might even come up as early as tomorrow for a vote. Okay, I was trying to get an exact timeline. Unbeknownst to us, the agenda doesn't have everything on it, but I'm being told that the next step, which should be to vote this thing up or down, should come tomorrow.
Lee Rohn, attorney, thank you very much for taking time. Colin Hodge, I know you're very busy as well. We're in downtown Christiansted. Make that call to your senators. We're in a lot of trouble. I'm Wes Small for News Channel 8.
Thank you, Wes. When we come back, we'll take a look at a St. Croix summer camp.